Hello, my friends. My name is Chris, and some of you may not even know me. So let me give you a little background on why you should listen to me. When I was in my 40s, I had gained a lot of weight through perimenopause. And I was determined by the time that I turned 50 that I would get that off. So that was 50 pounds in my 50th year. I had previously owned a bakery and I ate like crap. I ate lots of carbs because that's what I was baking, a little bite here, a little bite there, but I never ate big volumes of food. And I never ate food that had lots of nutritional value. I know, it's crazy. I drank copious amounts of Diet Coke and felt crummy every day. But I had to keep going because I had to get the product out the door. My mom got really sick with ALS, and I decided that I wanted to take my health in my own control. I studied really hard. I studied nutrition. First, I started with CrossFit nutrition, and then I studied nutrition for menopausal women and nutrition for athletes. On and on it went. I finally achieved my goal right before I turned 50. I lost the 50 pounds, which was great. And then I started teaching fitness. So I started teaching water fitness, and then I got certified in bar and then Pilates, and I loved it. I love strength training. I love all of that. But as I further progressed into my menopausal journey, I was having trouble keeping the weight off. It kept sneaking back up and I kept pushing it away and so on. So I started HRT and I was feeling pretty good. And then I developed some neuropathy in my legs and I had to stop HRT, which packed on some pounds quickly. And over this journey, I always knew sugar was a problem for me, but I didn't realize how much it was affecting me until I completely gave it up. Zero sugar. And that means table sugar in the form of honey, sugar in the form of agave, sugar in the form of pasta, potatoes, rice, all of it. It's sayonara to it. And guess what happened? The weight fell off. Easy breezy. So when I prioritized healthy fats and protein, everything got better. And I feel like a new person because I no longer have that bloat. I no longer have all the aches and pains and joint issues that I had before. I still have some of the problems with neuropathy when I sleep, but it has gone from 5 episodes a night to maybe 1 a week. So we've made great progress with that. Why am I telling you all this? Because I want you to know it's absolutely worth giving up sugar, right? If I could go back and do one thing, I would give up sugar. When I started my journey in perimenopause, I gave up maybe 80% of my sugar. I did the 80-20 rule, 80% eating whole foods and 20% fun foods. But that did not serve me in menopause, post-menopause, I should say. So here we are. And I want to give you reasons to give up sugar. And I promise you, you will never look back. Over the next 14 days, my goal is to show you how you can eat without sugar and still have treats and still feel healthy and feel wonderful without all the inflammation and without your insulin going up and down, making you crave more sugar, because that's what it does. It makes you crave more. You have a little, you want a lot. It's like a drug. All the companies know this. So they put sugar in random things. If you go to your pantry right now, I bet you every single item in there, except for the spices, will have some form of sugar, and even some of the spices. All right, so let's become sugar sleuths. Let's take a look at, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you all the places that sugar hides. Hang on 1 second for me. I'm not the most tech savvy person, but I think we can do it. All right, let me move myself out of the way. My whole goal is to give you a reason to ditch the sugar, because I promise it's going to be a game changer in your life. And accompany that with some great movement, and you are going to find you feel terrific. All right, so we're ditching the sugar. Here we go. Move myself again. Sugar is not so sweet. And I'm not going to read this all to you because you can read yourself. But according to the American Heart Association, adults consume an average of 77 grams of sugar per day, more than 3 times the recommended amount for women. When you add this up, it's 60 pounds of added sugar. 6 to 10 pound medicine ball. Think of how much that weighs. That's how much sugar you're putting in your body every year. So what does that do to us? Let's take a look. You can't work that out, right? You can't just go to the gym and work off all that sugar. It just doesn't work that way. So what do we consider sugar? Sugar is simple, edible, crystalline carbohydrates. Sugar comes in many different forms, and sometimes it's very hidden. But I want you to look at the labels. Some common table sugar is typically sucrose, which is extracted from sugarcane or sugar beets, which doesn't sound so bad, right? It comes from a plant. How bad could it be? But what it does to us is think of a sugar as anything that ends in OSE: glucose, dextrose, fructose, lactose, all the oses, I call them. What it does is it throws off our body. Our body cannot handle that level of carbohydrates in that form. 1 teaspoon of sugar, excuse me, has 16 calories and is 4.2 grams of carbs. So you can imagine just one soda, how much that has in it, a ton, and one fruit juice. And before you tell me fruit juice is healthy, I'm going to tell you that it is absolutely not healthy. It contains none of the fiber from fruit and all of the sugar and carbohydrates. Sugar is one of the most addictive substances on the planet. Trust me, I know this for myself. And being addicted to sugar and flour is not an emotional eating disorder, it's a biological disorder, driven by your hormones and neurotransmitters that fuel sugar and carb cravings, leading to uncontrolled overeating. Let me tell you, this was me. I would go into the bakery and it would have a piece of a muffin top. I called it quality control, but really it was lack of control on my part because I didn't eat anything before then. And then I drink it down with lots of Diet Coke, and then I would have that sugar craving all day long. So I would snack on a piece of cookie, a piece of bread, a piece of this, and no protein. And that led to a lot of problems. So it's time to say sayonara to our sugar. Let's understand sugar's role in obesity. The more that we reduce sugar, the less of an obese problem we are going to have. Why? Because it gets our insulin back to regulated and it stops us from being insulin resistant. We want our insulin regulated because that is converting everything to fat. And if we want to lose fat, we've got to keep it under control. Not to get too sciencey, but it's important to understand what is happening in our bodies when we eat sugar and why it causes these nasty problems for us. When we eat sugar and carbohydrates, our blood sugars spike and our insulin is released. Insulin is the hormone that tells our body to store fat. Insulin takes the sugar from the blood and converts it into glycogen to be stored in the liver and the muscles to be used for energy. That sounds good, right? We want it for energy. But no, we want to use fat for energy. So this is a normal process, but with excess amounts of sugar, there's no more room to store the sugar in the liver and the muscles, and our storage levels get full. So it stores it as fat. We want to convert that to our body burning fat for fuel, not carbohydrates for fuel. The problem with all this excess sugar is that we're eating and drinking is our blood sugar is constantly spiking up and down, and the insulin is constantly being released, and we're storing more sugar as fat instead of burning it for energy. So how sugar impacts our mood and our energy. If you've ever been sleep deprived, that the first thing you crave is sugar because your body wants that instant gratification, that instant release, and that instant amount of energy. Unfortunately, it throws us into a pattern. And so it disrupts our sleep, it disrupts our mood, because then you have these sugar highs and crashes. If you've ever seen a little kid have a lot of sugar, like my grandson, if he eats a lot of sugar, he will run around like a maniac and then crash and burn. He'll just lay down and pass out. That's what happens to us, but we don't do the pass out thing. We just walk around feeling lethargic and ugh. And so you may go to work out and you just don't have any energy. Or you have these crazy mood swings. You're happy, you're depressed. You're happy, you're depressed. And people talk about like drug addicts having that feeling like you need the high and then you crash. It's the same thing for sugar. So sugar doesn't give you any balance. When your sugar is out of balance, it can cause pounds to pile up. And as you store the sugar, instead of using it for energy and speeds up the process of aging, you might have wrinkles and more gray hair. It stops your body from absorbing the vitamins and minerals that we need to work. And it can make you feel bitchy, sleep deprived, depressed, all of that. So let me tell you about myself. So because I had this neuropathy, my legs got achy and they were numb and I was having constant cramping. And at first I thought maybe it was just because I was dehydrated, but I drink about a gallon of water and I have electrolytes. So I'm like, okay, that's not it. And I take mineral supplements. I take magnesium, I take potassium, B12, D3, all the good stuff, still getting the cramps. So when I got rid of the sugar, not saying it solved the problem completely, but my inflammation went way down. And even though the scale didn't move right away, people kept asking me, are you losing a lot of weight? It was because the inflammation had gone down. I was so inflamed by the amount of sugar that I was eating. And I'm so sensitive to it that it would immediately look different. Like you can lose 5 pounds in 5 days just by giving up sugar. We are consuming so much that we're in a constant roller coaster of highs and lows. You're eating more, you're craving more. So when you get rid of sugar, let's say you start your day out, and I'm going to give you all these great recipes to work with, but you start your day out with a high protein, high fat breakfast. You will not be hungry again until lunchtime. Your body is going to go through a period of adjustment where you'll have some headaches and you're going to feel icky. That's called detox. Okay. And it's a real thing. You will have headaches. So, what I say is make sure you're getting those electrolytes in because your body's going to go through a transition. Let's move on a little bit here. Part of ditching the habit is going to be meal planning for success. That means going through your pantry and ditching some of the high sugar stuff, get it out of the way. Really get rid of the stuff that you might be craving, and we'll replace it with things that are healthy and things that you can do that are still sweet, but not going to elevate your blood sugar. We'll take a look at healthier alternatives for cravings and practice mindful eating every day. And you guys are so lucky. Vicky Poole is a rock star on mindset, and she's going to help us through this whole process. But I want you to remember that you are doing yourself the best favor by giving up sugar. Let's talk about signs that you may be out of balance. Do you have severe cravings for sugar, chocolate, sweets, breads, all the yummy things that, we think are so delicious, but that are really shortening our lifespan and making us feel crappy? It's a vicious cycle, right? We want it. We want to lose weight. We want to eat the good stuff. It's crazy. Promise. Get rid of it. All that ups and downs goes away. And I can say that because I teach sourdough bread baking. I love bread. That was my specialty in culinary school. That's what my bakery was known for. But guess what? I don't eat it. I really don't. Maybe a slice every once a month or so, but I really love the smell of it. I love the experience of it, but it's just not worth it to me. And I'm not saying that you need to give up everything forever, but I am saying give your body a chance to detox and really understand what it feels not to have it in your body. And then you can choose, do I want to add some back or do I want to go full cold turkey? For me, it was never worth it to add it back. It just doesn't serve my purposes. Sugar is hiding everywhere. So how do you know what has sugar? For me, the easiest way to do that is to eat single ingredient foods, right? You already know there's no label on it. You already know that you're better off with that item than you are with some with a million ingredients. But everything is hidden. So let's say you go to McDonald's and you get a burger. Yep, there's sugar in the meat. Now everybody knows, okay, McDonald's may not be that healthy for you because you've got the sugar and the ketchup and sugar in the mayonnaise and sugar in the burger. But what about everyday things? Peanut butter is real high in sugar. Look at the contents of a salad dressing, always has sugar. Juices, like I said, jams and jellies, and on it goes. Almost everything has sugar. So I want you to become a sugar sleuth. Really look at all of the items. We're going to stop the share here for a second and just make sure that we're good. Okay. We're going to go back to sharing here because I'm a goofball. And I just wanted to make sure that we were doing that. So bear with me. Like I said, sometimes my technical skills are not that great. All right, going back to our share. I lied. There we go. Okay, so here's a list of common places that hide the sugar. Whereas you think you're getting something good, you got your fructose and your sucrose and your beet sugar and your brown sugar and your butter syrup, your cane sugar and caramel and carob and corn syrup and so on. I'm not going to read them all off because you can read them, but I guarantee you it's in just about everything. Okay, so here's where it gets dicey. I know everybody doesn't want to give up their wine and their alcohol, but I want you to ask yourself, is it serving your long-term health goals? And if the answer is no, okay, it's time to give it up, even if it's just for a short period of time and let your body detox. There's no point in having that. Let's look at things like green juice. It sounds so healthy. It's vegetables, right? Pureed vegetables, but it has a ton of sugar because they want to make it taste good. Coffee drinks. Look at Starbucks list of coffees and how much sugar is in them. Huge amounts. Black coffee's fine. Unsweet tea is fine, but ditch that sugar. Don't drink your calories. It's so not worth it. We want to look at foods that grow or run or swim or fly. Think about your grandparents or your great grandparents. How did they eat? Food was not accessible to them all the time. So they were not food obsessed, right? They would eat what was provided and what they had, and they would move on. They would eat things in season. This is absolutely key. Eat foods that are in season and eat whole foods. For me, I stick with fish, meat, poultry. I do eat some nuts. I've had to cut back on some of the veggies, but I do love vegetables. But I only eat the fruits and vegetables that are in season. So I'm not going to eat a banana because bananas aren't local and they've been shipped and God knows what they've done to them to make them last so long, right? Same thing with oranges. They're not local to me. Apples, they're not the apples I grew up with as a kid. When I used to pick an apple off our apple tree, it was sour. They have been genetically modified so that they're very sweet. If you want to have an organic apple, that's on you. But I'm going to tell you that even though it has a lot of fiber, it's not particularly good for you unless you grew it. And I know that seems really picky and strict, but it's worth it to really know your food and where it's coming from. Really shop the farmer's market. You'll learn a whole lot. Let's talk about oils. Stay away from seed oils. Stick with olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, or a grass-fed butter like Carrot Gold. That's where you're going to get those healthy fats from, along with beef tallow and chicken fat. All of that is really more natural and your body can recognize it and, use it for fuel. Our body needs fat because fat is what fuels our brain. And I know there's been a recent, maybe within the last 20 years, focus on cholesterol causing heart disease. But the truth is that we need cholesterol for our brain. And the more that they regulate cholesterol, the higher the incidence of heart disease. So do your research, take a look at all of that. And let's talk again about those negative things that might happen once you shut down your sugar. You might get headaches. You might feel stuffy like a cold. Your sinuses might go crazy. You might feel moody and irritable, and your energy might change. You might feel gassy and bloated. But those things only last a couple days. Now let's look at the positives. Reduced inflammation. That is my favorite one because it makes you feel so much better. Fat loss becomes a lot easier, and eventually you'll have less mood swings, and you will not have the hunger pendulum where you eat and 2 hours later you're super hungry again and all you want are carbs. Listen, I'm really here to help you. My phone number is here, my email. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube. I have a podcast called Lean and Clean with Fitness Chef Christine. And we go through recipes, and I have great guests also in the health field. Vicky's been on my podcast. I've been on her podcast. And it's absolutely a pleasure to work with her because she is a rock star of a coach and wonderful with mindset and hypnosis. We did a couple hypnosis sessions together, and I really think the world of her. So you're very lucky to have her. At any rate, I'm here to help you. Let's do this. I'll be providing a recipe a day. So I'll see you then.